Yeah, before you get completely started.
Alright guys, thanks for tuning in. This is the third attempt now to do this stream. You guys can hear me clearly this time. I can see my mic is moving, so awesome. Last two videos have been kind of butchered, so we're going to refresh this one here and go back over the information. So I appreciate everybody watching this video and tuning in tonight. But we're going to be covering some tips here. Now this is part 3 of this little mini series I'm doing here for Tips and Tricks Starfleet Command. You guys will hear some stuff that's kind of recovered. So I've been kind of building up on some of the feedback and stuff I've been getting. So some of these questions are just not completely answered. So I'm going to be continuing to focus specifically on these four that you see here. So grinding faction reputation, how to prioritize officers as far as upgrading them, how to place officers as far as like below decks, above decks, those sort of things, and then refining and obtaining resources, little tips and tricks here along the way that I've picked up. So we'll be going over all that information here on my server 14 account, which is a level 32 account that I've been kind of working on since October of 2019, pre-COVID. Okay. And I also have Dragon here on the stream with me this evening. You guys should be able to hear him now. I know some people had mentioned that his audio was kind of quiet and couldn't be heard very easily, so I have done a little bit of a fix here, so you guys should be able to hear him loud and clear. Want to say hi, Dragon?
Hey, what's up? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, so I can see that his volume is up, so he should be good to go. If you still can't hear
Okay.
him, leave a comment at the bottom of the stream to let me know, and I'll see if I can toggle that a little bit more and get this invisible friend of mine that you guys can't see or hear apparently on the actual stream.
I might be a little bit loud. Hold on.
No, I control your audio, how loud you're coming across.
Yeah, I'm a little bit loud. I can hear your stream through my TV, and I'm louder than you.
There, try it now.
Okay, I just had to wait until my last chat went over. Ooh, a little bit too low on that one.
All right, we're just testing this here.
All right, you got it going good now.
Okay, cool. All
No,
right,
no, a little bit louder.
a little louder.
Oh, right there, right there. That's good.
Okay, that's 16 decibels, so you're good. All right, so cool. So again, we're going to cover these points here. So we're going to start with actually the Federation reputation. I am going to go over the individual ones here. They're pretty much all the same for the most part, but there's a little difference obviously between the two, the three of them, the three main factions here. You do have 5 factions in total, although Rogue is kind of ridiculous in my opinion, but and it's completely Scopely's invention. It has nothing to do with the actual Star Trek series, and yeah, it just kind of puts it to shame. And this guy is really creepy looking when he doesn't load in all the way. I don't know what the deal is with that. It's for whatever reason on BlueStacks, which is what I'm streaming off of, guys. The Federation guy here, Lewis is his name. He never loads in all the way. It's really funky looking. He looks like the Invisible Man. But anyways, so you have the Federation, Klingon, and Romulans. These are your 3 core factions. These are always at the heart of every single series that's ever been made. Although the Klingons have not been mentioned in Picard as yet, other than maybe Worf. Other than that, they haven't really been brought up too terribly much at this point with that series. But they are practically in all 3 of these are practically in everything else. So if you guys are going to be doing dual factions, we'll actually start with that, not the Federation specifically, but a lot of people try and do dual faction. So just a word of advice with this. If you're doing dual factions, whatever your positive reputation is first is going to be not the alliance. Sorry, missed the box there. Is going to be your daily goal. So you want to be careful if you're trying to do those to not do the faction daily goals, which is going to actually hurt you on completing your dailies, which are super important to do. You pretty much have to do the rest of them in order to get the well, in my case, 255 points. But the reason I say to avoid these is because of this. So it's going to benefit one faction and it's going to severely impact the other. So this one by itself is 15k. This one's another 700 or 7,500. This one's another 7,500, and this one's another 15k. So I mean, you're talking, you know, let's see, 15, 30, and then another 30, or another 15. I'm sorry. So you're talking 45,000 reputation points that you're minusing yourself just in completing these 4 by themselves on a daily basis. Not to mention, you have your daily event, which will skip all these little events here. Your daily event right here for your faction, which each of these categories is going to take away 45, 9,000, so on and so forth, 18, and this one's like, what, 36. So, I mean, if you're doing this event every single day, which you do have to actually join it, and that's the reason why you have to join it. That's why it doesn't automatically pop you into it, because they don't want you to hurt yourself if you're trying to do dual factions. Or if you've got a faction maxed out like I do, or not maxed out, but locked with the Federation, they don't want you to automatically join and then miss out on trying to boost your other reputations up. But if you're going to be doing dual, I would not recommend doing those 4 dailies or that event, because that is going to kill you with trying to get this up, because you're not going to be able to offset, 45,000 plus whatever the actual daily event is with this or the Romulans or the Federation, whatever, at all. Even if you're doing missions, I don't recommend doing missions to boost your reputation until you're actually focused on that particular faction to do it and you're dedicated to it. The reason why is that missions are finite. So there's a limited amount of missions that you can complete, and when you're out of those missions, you then have nothing left to turn your negative reputation around and work it up other than killing hostiles, which will take you quite a bit of time, because you get very, very minimal reputation points from killing hostiles. There is a research you can do to help you with boosting that, which I will show you. Assuming BlueStacks will actually allow me to show you. There we go. I want to say it's Galaxy. Might not be Galaxy. Might be Combat. Let's see. Yeah, so that right here is one. Increases plus or minus Klingon points when you're using a Klingon ship. So, I mean, or the Federation or whatever. Whatever floats your boat with that. But that's actually really useful if you're trying to get the Enterprise. We'll come back to that later. But, with your factions, you just want to be careful, that you're not overdoing it with one thing at the expense of another if you're trying to dual faction. What I personally recommend doing, if you're new to the game and haven't actually even started with a faction yet, or you're pretty low level still and you can still kind of turn things around, I would recommend focusing on Klingon or Romulan first, and then doing Federation second. And then whenever you get those two, one of these two and then this one to 10 million, then focus on the third one and get that to 10 million. With the factions at 10 million, they lock. So once you're at 10 million, they will go no lower than that. So you can start taking out these hostiles. Like I could kill Federation hostiles right now and it won't go any lower than 10 million. Like 10 million flat. It'll obviously go lower than 10,700,000, but doing that will allows me to focus on working the Klingons and subsequently the Romulans as well. But with the factions, you're going to get, if you're trying to do hostile hunting, you are going to actually get more reputation points for killing survey ships or faction miners for the opposite faction. So if you're trying to do Federation, you'll want to kill Klingon or Romulan survey ships, which there aren't any in this galaxy right here that I'm in. But
Yeah.
you'll want to kill those because for whatever reason the survey ships give you more, and I'm assuming it's because the survey ships hold more cargo, and so their factions don't like losing cargo, I guess, even though they're an NPC and they don't really use cargo at all. So that's my assumption as to the reason why. But you guys just attack survey ships. Also, survey ships are not included in the little triangle of hate between the different ships. So they kind of can and can't do more damage, so to speak, depending upon your power level and things like that. Also, your research regarding hostile damage, things of that nature. So just I recommend personally hunting survey ships when possible because of the boost, and also because they're outside of that box there. So with Federation, you're going to want to kill either again Klingon or Romulans. If you're Klingon, you want to kill Federation or Romulan. And if you're going Romulan, you want to kill obviously Federation or Klingon. So you're always going to be doing one of the opposing factions. Now, if you're doing dual faction, be very careful. I recommend never killing your secondary faction. So basically, if I'm doing Klingon and Federation at the same time, I never want to Klingon first, Federation second. I never want to kill Federation ships. Or if you flip that around, doing Federation first, Klingon second, you never want to kill Klingon ships. You want to always target Romulan ships. The reason being that if you start killing Klingon ships, that's hurting your Klingon reputation and boosting your Romulan and Federation. So if you're trying to do those two specific factions, then you'll want to stay away from killing those ships whenever possible so as to maximize your output for both of the factions. Because if you're killing just Romulans, you're still boosting the Klingons, but you're also boosting the Federation too. And same thing if you're doing Romulan and Klingon. Obviously don't target either of the two factions you're trying to boost. If you're doing Romulan and Federation, it's the same thing. Target only Klingons. So that's the main difference between leveling up the different ones. Me personally, again, I recommend doing one faction and not attacking a second one. Keep that second faction in your mind still. Okay, so say I want to do Klingons, and then I want to go to Federation. I recommend, again, doing either the Klingons or the Romulans first. The reason being that the Federation, Scopely, and the game in general, and really the Star Trek series in general, is completely biased towards the Federation. In the game, and Scopely, actually, their information on their wiki will actually back this up. There are more missions for the Federation and more events for the Federation than there are for any of the other factions. So it's better to level up your reputation with either the Romulans or the Klingons, depending upon your personal preference and gameplay style, and then get them to 10 million, and then go ahead and start working on the Federation. Because you're going to have a much easier time with getting the Federation reputation up than you would anything else. Now, it may take you'll obviously be higher in the levels by that point. So that may be kind of off-putting to some people. They're like, well, I just want to get the Saladin, and then I want to get the Enterprise and go on about my business. You can still get the Enterprise at level 34. You can max out your reputation if you're actually focusing on that specifically. You can halt your level. I don't recommend rushing your level anyways, but you can halt your level at 28 and get the Bortos. If you're doing the Klingons, get the Bortos. If you're doing the Romulans, get the Centurion. Yeah, it is the Centurion. Get the Centurion at level 28, and okay, that's gonna bug me. It is the Centurion, I'm pretty sure. It is Centurion, right, Dragon?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not crazy then. So you get the Centurion at level 28, and you can still lock your reputation at 10 million without going above level 30. So I know some people have asked about how to get the Enterprise. That's actually a point that I didn't add to this stream, but I can kind of touch base on it and then touch more on it next stream, I guess. But with the factions again, it's just going to be much simpler if you do the Federation second. So in my case on server 52, I'm focusing on the Klingons first. Actually, they're almost at 10 million, and I'm only level 29. Once they're at 10 million, I'm going to jump to the Federation on that other account. This account, obviously, it's already locked. And I'm going to start working them. I've got all my Federation missions already collected that I can collect. I just have them archived until I get to go do them. The reason I archive them is so I don't use the reputation boosts off those missions. I'm going to wait till I get the Klingons locked first. So that way any missions I do for the Federation, because the Federation, you get more points for killing Klingons. So if you go kill Klingon scouts, you get stuff for the Federation. So those two are the diametrically opposed that you want to do. And then the Klingons and Romulans are diametrically opposed. So once I get the Klingons locked, then I can go ahead and start working on the Federation missions, which require a lot of Klingon killing. So my reputation with the Klingons wouldn't be negatively impacted by that. And then once these two are locked, I plan on doing the Romulans as well, because then I can kill Federation and Klingon hostiles all day long and do Romulan missions all day long without it impacting these two reputations. So that's why I recommend doing it in that order, actually, is Klingon, Federation, and then Romulan. It just makes it a whole lot easier to do it like that. So that's those three factions in a nutshell. I mean, it's pretty simple to understand all that. I know it's a little bit of information to talk about, but it's pretty simple to understand in the grand scheme of things. The augments, I actually really like the augment crews. Those are really good if you actually build them up and level them and give them experience. They are great for doing station hits. You'll see Katie gets bonuses on those. Otto bonuses on attacking. He's obviously for mining. She's for repair speed and gives a bonus to the captain's status. Again, stations, and Khan obviously is against. He's specifically for the Enterprise. He just blows the Enterprise out of the water. He's an Enterprise killer. That's what he is for. Hull breach crew. I mean, their crews are just really good. That's really all to be said about it. But the augment actually is really it's a different monster than the three core factions. The augments are different in the sense that as your reputation goes up, the more chasers you're going to have. So chasers are ships that actually come to attack you while you're in specific territories. With the three core factions, the lower your reputation is. So like I'm an enemy with the Klingons and the Romulans on this server, so anytime I go into their territory, they send ships to attack me. But as you increase that up to hostile and then neutral and then friendly, they're not going to send those ships to attack you anymore. So like I don't get attacked at all in Federation. I never will, because my reputation is locked at respected, so I will never get attacked by the Federation ever. So that's really, really useful actually for mining purposes. But and that's why again I recommend locking all three of these at 10 mil, because that way you're never going to get attacked. You can mine in peace unless another player attacks you, and then that's between you and that player. I can't help you there. But the augments, as you increase and become more friendly with them, is when you're actually going to start getting those bounty hunters chasing you. And a lot of people don't realize that at first. They're like, why are these guys chasing me? I'm friendly with these guys. But it's not actually the augments chasing you. It's people chasing the augments, and by extension yourself. Obviously, I'm maxed with them. Their reputation is the easiest to obtain, in my opinion, because you literally just mine data, corrupted or not corrupted. I can't think of what's called decoded data. You just mine that, and you literally can buy your reputation points through their store. I mean, it's simple as pie. You can literally mine data so very fast. It's not even funny how fast you can mine data. I mean, even without Joaquin on your ship, you can mine data like really super ungodly fast. Of course, this is a tier 8 Botany Bay, but just to show you guys what I'm talking about here. This is without Joaquin. Joaquin gives you the bonus. In my case, he gives me like 100 and some odd percent. That's Joaquin right there. But the deeper you go into this territory, by the way, the faster you can mine. Just want to point that out as well for people that don't know that. So we'll say, see, even without Joaquin, 665,000 per hour is what I'm mining without the actual data miner captain attached to my crew. So it takes me 20 seconds to fill my cargo up with that. And you just keep resetting, and it's super, super, super easy. I mean, you can see that right here, I've got a 360,000 hull capacity for the Botany Bay. So again, super easy to mine data. Really easy to go OPC with it too, which OPC is overprotected capacity for those that don't know. And that's, if you're over the protected capacity, that means that if a player hits you, then you lose those extra resources on top of that. So like this guy right here, I bet he's OPC. Yeah, he's 78,000 over his limit. So if I was to hit him right now, I would get every bit of that. And his Botany Bay is not too terribly weak. But actually, I'm kind of curious what tier it is.
Tier 9.
Tier 9, yeah, okay. So, yeah, so that's just an example of that. But with them, again, they're super easy. I definitely recommend investing in doing this because, again, their crew is good for station cracking. They're super easy to buy their credits for. I mean, they're just really easy to get. You just have to take a little bit of time to get these credits. I mean, you can see I could spend 71,000 and get that many credits. I wish I could do that for these factions. I wish I could spend, you know, like
Yeah, I wish they would do that for the other 3.
Yeah, if I could spend these right here, these Klingon messages, for example, and get, 7K plus credits, I would have no problem in getting the Enterprise. I mean, look at this. I spend 180 of those freaking things, and I only get 350 credits for the faction here. So, I mean, the augments are definitely, they've got you spooled rotten on getting crap. And not only that, but you can get all 3 of these, which are the level 26 ships for all 3 of the core factions. Mayflower is the Federation, D3 is the Klingons, and the Legionary is the, or Legionnaire is, no, it is Legionary, is for the Romulans. Now, just to clarify why I'm looking at the augment store here, it is not correct. This little rumor going around that these ships are not as good as their counterparts in the core factions. That is not accurate whatsoever. They have the exact same stats. There is no difference in the stats whatsoever. They can be a little more complicated to upgrade because they don't use standard resources alone. They use the standard resources, but then they also use
Plutonium.
plutonium. Yeah, plutonium, which you have to buy through the faction store for the augments. But if you look at these, literally, I'll just use one of these. I'm not going to go through all of them, but the D3, for example, Separatist D3, 52, 75, 38, 165, 01, 101. Literally, the D3 down here is the exact same thing. 165, 101, 52, 75, 38. It's the exact same thing. It has the exact same bonus, too. So there's literally no difference in these ships whatsoever, other than the fact that they're a different color. And the fact that, I mean, even the Separatist, which I don't even have any idea how to get, but I think that's an event. But, I mean, they're literally the exact same thing. Ship ability is the same. They do look cooler, in my opinion, actually. I like the color schemes better. But other than the paint job, that's it. It's the only difference. So I actually recommend, if you do the augments, skip getting a level 26 ship from one of these core factions. Save your credits for the Saladin, Bortos, or the Centurion. Those are going to be much better ships than your level 26 ships anyways. And it'll just make your life a lot easier, trust me, because all the level 28 ships cost 20,000 faction credits. So, I mean, like on this account, obviously on the Klingons, I could flat buy the Bortos right now. So, but regardless, I digress. The Rogue. I'm not really a fan of. I think it's kind of stupid personally. I think it's cool that they included the Bajorans in this. There's some Bajoran officers. If you know what to, well, that's not it. If you know what to look for, which apparently I can't click on the right thing tonight. And they don't have any in here right now because my reputation sucks with them. But there are some Bajoran officers in the Rogue officer packs. So if you ever get those, you'll see some of that. You'll see the nose gives them away, obviously. Mud is not Bajoran, he's human. But I don't like Rogue because it's an invention of Scopely. It's not true to the Star Trek storyline as far as I'm aware. The Stella ship that you get from this, which actually I don't have to pull up in here, I can pull it up over here, is completely fabricated. It is not an actual ship that the story of Star Trek actually has. It is just a ship that's made by Scopely. Looks kind of cool, but it's just a Scopely ship. It has nothing to do with Star Trek. So I can't say that I'm truly in love with it just simply because it's not affiliated with Star Trek and they're putting it in a Star Trek game. I think taking liberty with a series can ruin a series. I mean, just look at The Hobbit, for goodness sakes. Yeah, we won't even go there. But anyways, so I don't really tend to focus on the Rogue store too much. They're kind of similar to the augments in the sense that you can buy directives for doing their own personal armadas. You have uranium instead of plutonium. You can buy your recruit officers. Really, the whole store is actually based around the Stella. You buy the Stella, you build the Stella, and then you take it apart and you rebuild it, and you take it apart, and it's just like a never-ending cycle. This with the Stella. Stella is good for armadas, though. I will say that it does get several bonuses to armadas. As you guys can see here, I just built this yesterday. I just rebuilt it yesterday, I should say. So it increases the reward you get from Eclipse hostiles and armada targets by 300%. This does apply to regular armadas too, apparently, not just Eclipse armadas. So I see a lot of people using these for armadas. So it can be a pretty good ship. It gets some nice bonuses with those kind of things. So if you're having a difficult time taking out an armada and you've got like a million Saladin, then you can try and use the Stella and use a good crew with them. And a good morale crew is really good with armadas, and you can see what you do.
It's also good for the hostiles for the drop rate too.
Yeah, it is.
But only in rogue space, I do believe.
Any other comments you got with factions, Dragon?
Well, there's one, but I think I'll hold it off till we're off the air and we'll discuss it.
He's gonna beat me over the head with the bat, is what he means.
Yeah.
Probably something I said wrong. I mess up all the time.
No, it's just something that can be added to another thing. I just don't want to take your thunder.
Thunder. All right, so how to prioritize upgrading officers. This one was kind of a confusing question. I'm not really sure why that's even a question, but since it was asked, I will do my best to provide an answer.
It's a very hard answer to give.
Well,
but they have made life on this question a lot easier since this past update.
This is true. So previously, for those of you that didn't know or are coming into the game, well, if I can get off these ridiculous screens, there we go. For those of you that did not know, originally you could only sort your officers by level, class, upgradable, ship, group, and strength and rarity, which that's all you can do it through here as well, apparently. But now if you go to ships, I guess they didn't change that for the officers. You can only do that through here, apparently. You actually can now organize them through attack, defense, and health, which has been a big thing because before you just could do it by strength and you'd have to go through each individual officer. You could have an officer that has really good strength but crappy health. Like, I'll give you an example. Gonzalez here. Well, hers is not too bad, but I've got her leveled up pretty decent amount. Yeah, Kamal, here you go. He's 1800 power, but then has 50 health. That's really crappy. So if you're looking for somebody who's got good health, then you can organize it by health. And I didn't realize that Sharvanak had 344, but there you go. See, learn something new. So I mean, that's really nice that you can now organize those. So with prioritizing, and this does kind of tie into my next point as well with officers put below decks and upper decks and things like that. I'll go over some more of that in a second. But with the upgrading of officers, so you will never have a deficiency in officer XP. It will never happen. Ship XP, absolutely. Officer XP, it'll never happen. As you can see, I've got 6.8 million up there, and I'm not trying to recruit anybody right now. I've got 6.8 million officer XP up there. You see how many? I've got all these officers I can upgrade right now, and I'm not upgrading them not because I lack experience, but for other reasons. Apparently, I have a new guy that is not actually new because I've had him for quite some time, but I can level him up. Actually, I must have just gotten him because I can level him up. I usually max out my guys, but there's another one. Okay, but yeah, you see, I have all these guys that are maxed right now. So with the maxed, obviously, I can't do anything with them. But with these other ones here that I can upgrade, it's not going to be a scroll back up to the top. I have to do it manually. It's all Dragon's fault. I blame him. But you'll see here with each of these guys, they require not only experience points, but they also require credits. And that's just a pain. Because you'll get, where you don't have enough credits because you're trying to buy the Enterprise. This person's kind of frightening because she didn't load in all the way. But again, you see credits, more credits. Is deployed right now. More credits, and now an engineering badge. So, if those of you that have asked what the badges are for, engineering, science, and command, that's what they're for. But again, for 4,600, credits to upgrade her. So this is where you run into problems with upgrading officers. So it's not really prioritizing upgrading officers as much until you get up to this point, of course, and then you want to prioritize what's going to be best for your ship's crew that you utilize. Like, for example, Gary Mitchell, he's pretty much only good for station defense. He's not really good for anything else. I don't really use him for anything, and I will probably never upgrade him beyond this point. McCoy, good for his own personal uses. Got decent health, decent defense. Spock will probably be the next one that I actually level up. In fact, actually, I'm not sure why he's on Ship C. I'm going to be putting him, I think, on my Saladin with my morale crew, because especially of his defense right there. And again, this is going to tie back into my next point here, but that's just kind of what you want to look for. Uhura is amazing with her accuracy, increasing the accuracy. I mean, if your accuracy is already 100%, increases by another 60%. I mean, you can't really go wrong with that. And her stats are phenomenal as well. And she smiles. But, not all these guys you're going to really use. Scotty's good. Again, I wouldn't use him as a captain, but it's just a waste. He's got a decent defense, kind of sucky health and sucky attack. Does a good bit of increasing the health of the ship, which is pretty good. I always recommend upgrading him. He's always useful. Has really good stats, and he's good for data mining, and he's also good for increasing the protected cargo. Really good for using on a Devore until we get an actual Ferengi officer that's going to boost the usage of the Devore. Although they just did that through research, but be really cool to have a Ferengi officer, considering the fact that they're pulling in all the Star Trek universes. There's no reason why we can't have the Ferengi, but we have a Ferengi ship. I think that's just kind of dumb. I probably won't do anything with Instructor Spock. I don't really use him. He's a common officer. Same thing with McCoy here. He's a common officer. Same thing with Cadet James Kirk. He's a common officer. Once you start getting these rare and epic officers, and even the uncommon officers, you'll never use these commons again, really, except for maybe some of their stats for below decks. But yeah, so I mean, as far as focusing on what officers to upgrade, you really just want to again focus on who has the highest stats, who's going to give you the most bang for your buck, so to speak, and who's going to go best with your crew style. So if you're running like a morale crew, you'll want to do Spock down here. Spock is really good for morale crew, so on and so forth. If you're doing burning, upgrade your crews for those. If you're focusing on hull breach, upgrade your crews for those. And then focus on your kind of lesser officers after the fact. Get these other guys out of the way first. Now, tying into officers below decks. So, mostly for your officers below decks, you want to have people that have really high defenses and really high health. Pike is an excellent example for this because he has really good attack too, but he's got 434 and 434 for health and defense. That's really, really good. In this particular case with Otto, I added him strictly because of the attack. He has got a phenomenal attack, 640. I don't really need him for this crew. I mean, actually, he could probably be switched with Cross. Yeah, and you can see my attack just went up tremendously. Cross, again, he's got a better attack than Otto does, but Otto increases the attack of all the officers on the deck here. I think, actually, as I mentioned, I'm going to switch Spock. So that actually decreases my abilities, which is really sad. So I guess we won't do that then. But regardless, so your below decks, you do want to have officers typically that have really good defense, and health should be the next focus, because you don't get the, I don't know again why I have Katie on here at all actually, you don't get the officer bonuses for the below deck officers, so you don't need to focus on anything related to their abilities, period, because they don't.
There is one thing, because you do have some officers that require, like increase shields by total defense or total attack. So sometimes you want to base it off of that.
True, but for your below deck officers, which is what we're talking about specifically here, your below deck.
But I mean, your below deck still, the higher your defense or your attack is, it goes into that. It goes to your total points, not the percentage.
Yeah, I know. But that's what I'm saying, though. So you want to target on your below decks those that have the highest for the if you're going for one specific ship that you want to be super powerful. You're going to want to focus on your below decks as being, your more higher tiered, defense and health, because that's going to benefit you the most down here, and then use your ship abilities up here. So like oops, that's not what I want to do. So your morale crews, you're not going to put those below deck. You're going to put them up here. That really bothers me that he's actually better than Spock. I think Spock will be the next one that I'm going to upgrade here, because that's going to drive me nuts. And I think he'll actually put my Saladin actually higher in the tier. But something else that's important to note as well, it's not all about ship power. I mean, I have seen and I can see if I can find the picture here actually. The alliance I'm in on this particular server here. I know I can find picture here. Where is it at? It was like a guy was literally, oh, here it is. So we'll pull this over here real quick so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Well, if I can, there we go. All right, so here's what I'm talking about specifically. So Enterprise versus Enterprise, you can tell his power level 4,139,000, and then his power level is 2.1 mil. So 2.1 versus 4.1 mil. So big difference in the power level. I mean, 2 million power level difference, and yet this crew wins because this crew is better. Although that's still kind of a confusing layout for me personally. This crew right here is whether they're epic or rare doesn't really matter. This crew, I don't know what he was doing. I think that Lieutenant Dax here was maybe smoking something, but I'm not really sure why this crew was the influence here. But that should tell you the difference between the two. And this is level 20 Enterprise, this is level 35, and he still managed to win. So and we're friendly with them. So this is just a friendly battle here, just for PvP purposes to kind of show things. So this is definitely, your crew is going to be more important than your power level is going to be. So you do want to focus on that more than your power level. Of course, your power level is still important, but your goal ultimately is to get your bonuses here for your ships up to 300%. So I can better show you this way. So these will max out at 300%. They will not go higher. So it doesn't matter what officers you have. If you get these to 300% and they stay there, you're good to go. I mean, you still have your ship's abilities, not ship abilities, but your officer abilities will below or top decks here. But, the goal is to get this to 300%. Which, Dragon, I don't know what your, I know your Saladin is obviously maxed up here, but what is your, yours is 300%, isn't it?
No.
No, not quite.
Let me see. I've got some bad crews. Let me load up the right crew.
It's all about that crew, I kind of want to just look at the Enterprise, it's such a pretty ship. Prettiest ship in the game, hands down. I don't care what you are, who you are, what you say. The Enterprise is the prettiest ship. Wish I could look at the Enterprise A, but I don't have it unlocked. So it's just such a beautiful ship. I really can't wait until they get the Enterprise D in here. The Enterprise D is my favorite, like hands down. I actually was working on building a Minecraft version of it, and I never finished it. I got the nacelles done and started working on the dish, but I couldn't get the dish just right the way I wanted it, so I ended up stopping. Actually, I got everything done except the dish. The dish is the only thing I did not finish.
Yeah, right now mine is at a 270, 300, and 300.
Yeah, see, you're like right there at the cusp, so.
Yeah, like I said, my crews are still iffy. One or two more levels on a couple of them, and I'll be at that 300% in no time.
Well, this is why I said that I was going to stop focusing on trying to get additional, blueprints for the Brel, because I'm going to start focusing on my officers to kind of get my Saladin a little higher, or not my Saladin, my Bortas. I was really aggravated earlier because there's somebody in my alliance that, for those of you that aren't on my server, obviously, there's somebody in my alliance that actually has a tier 5 Bortas that is almost 1 million. And I was like, I'm so confused as to how he's got a tier 5 max level for tier 5 Bortas. Mine is only is literally 799,000, almost 800. It's like a few hundred away from being 800,000. So we'll just say 800,000 for giggles. And his is like 70, but tier 5, and mine's tier 6, about to be a tier 7. So I'm kind of aggravated that his is almost 1 million and is a tier behind mine. So I kind of feel like, if I just upgrade to his level, he's only level 32. I feel like if I was to upgrade to his level, then my Bortas might actually be in the 1 million range if I was to actually do all the research up to where he's at. Because his is already, I guarantee if he went to tier 6, his would be up in the 1 million range. So that's really kind of disappointing that I'm tier 6 and behind him on that. But regardless, so I mean that's pretty much how you do your below deck officers. You really just again want to focus on your defense, not necessarily strength, but your defense and your health. If you can get an officer in there with good attack too, then by all means definitely do that. As you saw in my Saladin, I've got a couple officers that have really crappy defense and really crappy health, but a really good attack. So I've got him on there. So that's just an example. You can see my attack is at 270. I mean, it's almost at 300, so it's pretty darn close. Really, the only thing I did was switch around those two officers. That didn't even make a difference.
Yeah. Can you get on? Do you have Krell? Blue
Yeah.
officer.
Krell? No, I don't think
Yeah.
so on this server. I
He's
might. Let's see.
I just wanted to show you what I was
Oh,
trying
yeah.
to explain earlier.
Got him.
Go ahead and click on him. And it says below, yeah. See how that talks about based off of defense? This is what I was talking about earlier. Where it's 35% of base defense. So, you know, technically, when you go to that 300%, is that 40?
Well,
or
this isn't
4200?
this isn't base defense. This is the cruise defense.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. At 4200, you have 300 defense. So let's just say you're running that, and that's the only one. You want to try to get as much defense, even if you go over that 300%, it will go towards that 35%. See what I'm saying?
Nah, I gotcha. But that's only if he's on the upper decks. That's not below decks.
Right, but your below deck people
Yeah, they
increase that.
Yeah, they do.
That's all I was saying on that. You know, talking about, you know, how to crew your below deck. It would depend on your officers and what stats they may require.
Correct. But
I know that probably just confused a lot of people too.
well, we can always clarify later if there's any questions. People just you all can leave comments on the on the feedback on the stream on YouTube, and we can come back to those. That's not a problem at all. The last real point here on my list tonight, and I will cover the Enterprise after this point, so this is not really truly the last point, but for giggles here, refining and obtaining resources. So I've had a lot of questions about this, about how to best go about doing this. A lot of newer players don't understand the mechanics here with this. And it's really kind of dumb the way that Scopely has it set up, in my personal opinion. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And of course, my Latinum is rebooting right now. But with Latinum, if you go to refine that, it's guaranteed that you're going to get X amount of Latinum, but depending upon your level and whatnot, with your Devore, from each chest that you open. Now, you have a chance of getting certain amount of stuff to upgrade your Devore, obviously, so that's still up to chance. But you've got that guarantee that you're going to get X amount of Latinum. So if you open 2 chests, you're guaranteed to get double what you would normally get. With this, as another example, which actually Dragon asked me to touch base on, and I completely forgot. Don't forget, with your refining your Borg stuff, your Borg nanoprobes, you can use those, these charged nanoprobes, you can use those to buy faction credits and faction reputation. These will help you with getting your faction reputations up and getting credits for the individual factions. But what I was going to say here with this is, again, guaranteed. So if they actually had 2 or 3 chests here, which they don't, you could buy multiple chests and get that guaranteed to be doubled, tripled, whatever the case may be. With your regular materials, these are not guaranteed. Chance. These chances are complete and utter crap. I kid you not, I've done this before, actually on this account. I literally used 3 chests, 75,000, which, by the way, do the math. What is 1750 times 3? I guarantee you it is not 75,000. So again, they're gypping you. They're using way more resources than just opening standard 3 chests. But I opened 3 chests one time just for giggles, and I got literally, I kid you not, I got 5 common ore, and that's it. 75,000 and got 5 common ore. Not anything uncommon, not anything rare, just 5 common ore. I will never again recommend anybody ever getting 3 chests or even 2 chests. Always spend 1 chest, because 1 chest, I find more often than not, I get more out of spending 1 chest than I do 2 or 3. And these say chances. Guess what? There's a chance that you could get even and it's even I'm pretty sure it's a higher percentage actually that you're going to get less than this every single time you open a chest. I don't think I've ever gotten 24 out of opening this ever. Maybe once, but not rare enough for it to be in my memory at all. But that's my one major tip with these, is always use 1. Not only that, but you'll run out of this a lot less if you just use 1 chest. You'll be happier because then you won't have to mine as much, except to do your dailies. And then you don't have to worry about leaving out overnight miners to get blown up.
Mining isn't fun.
Oh, and to be honest, on my other account here, I have 1.5 million crystal right now that's unrefined. I'm never going to run out hardly because I mine it for my dailies right now. And 2, I only open 1 chest. So of my 1.5 million, I'm only using 1,700 a day. So, or whatever the recharge time is. So, I mean, again, this right here, 628, opening 1 chest a day, or whatever the refining time frame is, I'm not going to run out very quickly. So therefore, I have to mine less. So I don't have to worry about it as much. I guarantee you guys, you're gonna get more out of the 1 chest than you're gonna get more often than not with these. I just don't like these. I think that they need to redo this whole system. Common is almost, or uncommon is almost rare. There's times where I get rare ore more often than I get, or any of these other ones. For example, the crystal ore gas. There's times where I get more of the rare than I get the uncommon. I've had where I've gone 3, 4, 5 days in a row and just gotten rare and common, not uncommon. And uncommon is what you need the most of at this stage in the game, at my level. For example, the Saladin here, it's tier 6, as you guys can see, because this is not loading in. There it goes. And I need 1,765 uncommon 3-star ore, or not ore, crystal, to get this next upgrade, which would put me at almost 1 million, like right there at 1 million, like just under it. And then of course this right here I can upgrade and then get to tier 7 and then have 1 million Saladin, which I've been working on for a long time and just haven't been able to do because of the sheer amount of crystal that you need. And by the way, everything requires these 3-star resources, so you have to sacrifice different aspects of what you want to upgrade to get that stuff. It's a real pain in the hind end. But that's really my biggest tip for you guys, again, with refining. If it doesn't say guaranteed, do not use more than 1 chest. Unless it's these. Because these, nobody cares about these. Unless you're like really low level. But, again, 1 chest. These are guaranteed. So for your territory refinery, you can use 3 chests because you're guaranteed to get 3 times the amount of resources. It's worth it to do 3. And not only that, but 2 chests. I mean, it's not that much more. It's 30,000 more than it really should be, but, or pretty close to 30,000. I think it's like 22,000 or something like that.
46.
But, yeah, there you go. I didn't want to do the math. But you're guaranteed, again, to get these. So if it says guaranteed, go for it. Do more than 1 chest. Do more than 2 chests, 3 chests, whatever. again, guaranteed. So these are statistically better for doing those guaranteeds. The Discovery Refinery, you get a chance of these. I usually just go ahead and do all 6 chests whenever I have these. I usually get some pretty good stuff out of this stuff. I'm always full. I don't think I've ever been empty on that, like, once. Like, even since I first got the Discovery. These, again, guaranteed, and you only have 1 chest anyways. Yeah, I mean, there's really just nothing else to be said about it. If it says guaranteed, do more than 1 chest. If it doesn't say guaranteed and says a chance, I wouldn't risk it. It's too many resources to expend. You know, how long does it take you to mine 75,000 raw ore? It takes a while. You know, how long does it take you to mine 1750? 5 minutes, if that. So, I mean, it's definitely more worth it to do the 1750 and not have to sit here and constantly be out of, you know, whatever resource it is that you're trying to refine constantly. I always do all 3 every day, except on this account, which I haven't mined ore in like a decade. Decade game time, not real time, obviously. This game has not been out for a decade. But that's my real tips. There's really no other tips for that kind of stuff, other than do events. Events are really important. Battle Pass is really important. This Battle Pass right here, I mean, you get... I actually calculated this the other day, and it does differ by level. So the higher level you are, the more you're going to get out of these. But, I mean, good chunks of... And here's how you can figure this out, by the way. Peristeel is going to be ore. This is going to be crystal. And dilithium is going to be gas. Just an easy way to tell which so you don't have to click through each category, seeing if there's anything in here. These are always... The peristeel is always going to have ore. Dilithium is always going to have gas, and then tritanium is always going to have crystal. So that's the best way to do that without having to click on, again, each and every single one of these stupid things. But yeah, I mean, that doesn't really give me hardly anything as far as ore goes. But as you go up, 24, 15, 37, 23, 31, you can see it incrementally increasing here. 67. I think actually this one was more focused on ore than it was anything else, but you can see, I mean, that one 86, and then what was this one? 119. I mean, that's a good chunk of crystal right there. 146, 104. That's a good chunk of ore right there. Gas again, almost over 300 right there. And gas alone, if you buy the elite, there's more crystal. So again, over 300, 350 crystal, and then a good godly chunk of ore. So if you're doing like the Bortos or something like that, it's a battleship, whatever, that's going to give you a pretty good chunk. But you see what I said earlier again about it giving you Federation, and Klingon. I think actually this actually gives you all 3, yeah. But you'll see that a lot of these events, they're almost always focused on the Federation. I mean, look at these officers. These are Federation officers. How many times do you see where they do an event and it's a Klingon officer or a Romulan officer? It's almost always Federation, like without fail. So, just pointing that out. Tying back to what I said earlier. Dragon, any other tips or opinions on mining or refining?
I can't think of nothing.
Yeah, that one's pretty straightforward and easy.
Right.
Again, with the data, mine deeper, the more you're going to get per second. Really, it's the same thing with mining in general. I mean, the higher the level of the system, the more you're going to have on a node. The more private it's also going to be, unless you run into higher level players. Like on this server, the people are maxed out level 50 on this server for right now. So, I mean, yeah. And then, of course, you have territories, which are a different monster entirely. So last point here I want to discuss based on questions that I had received regarding the Enterprise, which, for whatever crazy scopely reason, it's an explorer. Makes no sense at all. Don't ask me why. It's not an explorer in the original series. It's not an explorer in the Kelvin universe. It's a battleship. They even say that in the original series. Kirk says it's a battleship. Picard said it was a battleship. This is a Constellation class ship. They were not designed for exploration. That's the Galaxy class ship that came later. The Enterprise D is a Galaxy class ship. Of course, so was the Enterprise. No, Enterprise D was the only Galaxy class. As Enterprise E was a warship variant, and then Enterprise F, which isn't really truly in the series. It's more of a concept art. It is also definitely very much so a warship. So Enterprise A, B, and C were Constellation class, I'm pretty sure. But anyways, this is not the Enterprise A. This is just the Enterprise. This is the original. So it's an explorer in this game. For those of you that don't know, it is a whopping expense to get this ship. Like I said before, it is 180,000 faction credits to get it if you're just doing it with faction credits, if you're not buying any blueprints through the store. It is called the $1,000 ship. It is 1,200 credits for one blueprint for this ship. You can see that I have 20 blueprints. So for those of you that want to do the math as to how much I've already spent on this ship in-game, I have not spent any money on this ship. I mean, I have spent already 2,400 credits, or no, 24,000, I'm sorry, credits on this, which is more than the Saladin cost. The Saladin cost 20,000 credits. So I could have, and these tokens right here I did not buy. These are unlocks from me destroying ships. All of the Enterprise blueprints I have bought with faction credits. So I had wasted some on the Intrepid, and then I figured out the Intrepid is garbage. So don't get the Intrepid. Just go straight for the Enterprise. That's the big prize right there. Literally, the Enterprise. As Dragon likes to call it, the prize. But...
Right.
But you have a couple options with this here. Now, this is going to vary per server as far as the store, but you can do you can do Federation missions to get credits and stuff. See if I have any Federation missions active currently. Most of my stuff is Klingon because that's what I'm focusing on now. Do I have anything archived? Yeah, I do. Okay, so here's one. So here's 600 faction credits right there. 600 there. I don't know what that's going to be. I'm probably sure it's probably going to be 350 or 600. 400. 600. Nothing. And 500. So I mean, right there, that's a good chunk by itself. Those missions are archived because I don't have a strong enough ship to destroy the hostiles. Those are all hostile hunters. I don't have enough of a power level here with my ship to kill 2 million power level ships yet. So doing missions is a good way to get those credits to move towards the Enterprise. Obviously, the ship doesn't unlock until level 34, and you do have to have your reputation at 10 million in order to unlock the ship at that level, because you have to have respected, which is 10 million. To unlock the Enterprise, and it's the same thing with all the with the Klingon and Romulans as well. In order to unlock the level 34 ship, you have to have the 10 million to do that. So it has to be locked, which is another good reason to lock those, so you have access to these level 34 ships if you want them. But the best thing I can recommend, if you don't want to spend any actual currency, like actual money, is to do the missions again, do all of the events that you possibly can that give you faction credits, do your Borg on a consistent daily basis to the point where you can get multiple chests. This is going to change depending upon the level of your Vidar. As you tier your Vidar up, you can see right here it tells you what tier mine is. This is going to increase. This is going to change. All of this will actually. All of these go up. But you can buy these faction credits. That's going to count towards it. You do this, on a consistent, frequent basis. I'm not doing it right now because I'm actually trying to tier up my Vidar. I have like 2 or 3 more slots to upgrade, and then I can tier it up to tier 5. So I'm going to do that so I can start doing the bigger probes. That's really all I can suggest with doing that. Oh, and also hunting the Klingon scouts as well in Klingon space. I usually try and recommend level 36 or higher. So you can do those in the 36 systems. They'll populate in there a little quicker than they do in the lower level systems. The lowest you'll find them at is Oakvok, which is level 33, I think. Just off the top of my head. Pekka, you can find them there too. 32 is the lowest level space you're going to find those. See if I can find one here for you guys. They spawn in like every 15 to 20 minutes at level 32. So I think this is one right here, actually. Yeah, right there. Look at that. So this is what you're looking for. They're the fastest ship you're going to find in flying around the space. That's how I kind of identified that's what that was, is it's super fast. It's got a star next to it. It says Klingon Scout. It doesn't have this in its loot. You get these automatically when you destroy these, but it's going to give you this Klingon message. And so the Klingon messages are for the Federation. If you go kill the Romulans, it's for the Klingons. If you go kill the Federations, it's for the Romulans. That simple. But you can use these, and this changes depending upon your level again. You can trade those Klingon messages in, or Romulan messages, or whatever. You can trade those in for credits for this. So again, that's another good way to put credits towards this. If you're going to spend money, there's a couple things you can do. Billing services not available. Okay, well that's interesting. Huh. Wonder if it's because I'm on. Wonder if it's because
you gotta restart.
Well, it might be because I'm on BlueStacks.
It does that to me every now and then too. Just gotta restart it, and then the stores show back up.
All right, well, we're gonna restart this because I want to show you guys what I'm talking about. Do 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 do. Please pause for Scopely. But anyways, what I was gonna say while I'm waiting on this to load, when you guys hit level 34, the Enterprise will pop up in the store. I did get confirmation of that. It will pop up. I don't know how many blueprints it will include in the store. I am sure that it's not going to be half. I can assure you it's probably going to be maybe 20, maybe 30 blueprints. You have to understand that, I showed you already, 24,000 per 20 blueprints. It needs 120. Whenever you buy the Bortos or the level 28 ships, it gives you half of them for $100. So they're not going to sell you half the Enterprise blueprints for $100. It's Scopely we're talking about. So don't go into it expecting that. They're going to want you to spend $1,000 to get that ship. That's why it's called the $1,000 ship, actually. I'm pretty sure that you'd have to spend $1,000 to get all the blueprints for it. In fact, actually, I'm going to do that math real quick here. Yeah, make sure I'm not doing this wrong.
15, wouldn't it? It's 150, right?
180 is 18,000. No, 180,000 divided by $1,000 is 180. So you.
180 shards, not 150.
I don't know. I'm tired.
Okay. Yeah.
But anyways, so it will pop up in the store. There we go. Whenever you guys actually get to level 34, so you can work your way up to most of the Enterprise, and then You'll get to level 34 and buy that pack to get a good chunk, hopefully, of the Enterprise credits. You can also buy this, which the higher your level is, I think at level 34 again, this goes up from what I was told. This goes to 18,000, but again, this is server dependent. So the newer servers, of course, they nerfed this. So and I don't know, I do know why, but it's stupid. Their reasoning is dumb. But on the older servers, for those of you that play on that watch, you can buy this pack at level 32. It gives you 15.2, so this will almost give you another 20. It's probably like what, 15 or 16 blueprints, without doing the math. Also gives you a good chunk of uncommon refined. I mean, 405 is really not bad. I would love to have. No, not that. The Romulans. I don't know why I guess it makes sense because the Romulans, you have to mine ore in Romulan space. But I would love just to buy that pack, actually. I wonder how much it would give me on this server. Probably nothing. Yeah, so the difference, my level 29 gets 150. This gets 405. So big chunk difference. Same price pack, though. Still $100. But that's another way you can really quickly get credits. But again, it gets expensive really fast. Somebody that I play with here on this server told me that the best way to get the Enterprise by level 34 is to just go around and constantly kill scout ships, to where you get enough of the messages that you can literally just do that every day and just not spend any credits on that faction at all. This is really easy to do, and again, this is a good reason, tying back to my first point, this is a really good reason to do Federation second and not first. Because you see, I went with Federation first and Klingon second. Look how many credits I have. I have 32,000. I can't spend because the store is locked. So this is not going to burn a hole in my pocket, so to speak, like money would, because I can't use it. It's literally just sitting in a trust fund, basically. Same thing with the Romulans. I've got 13,000 of theirs. I don't really do much with the Romulans. That's why that's lesser. But yeah, think about it. If you do Federation second, I've got 32,000 with the Klingons. Not really doing a lot of events on this account anymore. But if I had done the Klingons first and the Federation second, I would probably have closer to 60, maybe 70,000 credits right now if I was doing just the Klingons. Now, again, taking into account the fact that I bought the Mayflower, the Saladin, the Antares, and I've spent 17 on the Intrepid. I mean, that's a lot. I've spent, and not to mention all my officers and stuff. I mean, I've probably spent close to 150,000 already on everything else other than the Enterprise. So, I mean, hypothetically speaking, had I not spent anything in the Federation faction store, I could have already had enough to get the Enterprise. So don't make that mistake of putting everything you have into getting each and every single individual faction ship, because it's not worth it. It's really not. If you can get the Enterprise is the single best PvP ship in the game right now, for core low levels and even at higher levels. I mean, I know people that have the Kelvin and they use the Enterprise over the Kelvin. I know people that have the Newton. They use the Enterprise over the Newton. I don't know anybody that has Enterprise A that I know of. I might be wrong about that. I'll have to ask, but I haven't seen anybody that really talks about it. But the Newton is a grade 4 battleship, and the Enterprise is used more heavily than this, and it's a grade 3 ship. Again, Kelvin, same thing. Grade 4 interceptor. I don't see this being used like at all. I know at least 3 people that have it, and they never use it. They're always using the Enterprise. this thing is a joke. I wouldn't even worry about it. Yeah, Enterprise is really the only. I really want this one, but this one is the Enterprise A costs 1,040,000 Federation credits to buy. It is ungodly, ridiculous expensive.
Like I heard somebody say that costs 15,000 to buy.
Oh, like dollars? Yeah. Yeah, it's super expensive. I don't know anybody that has it, like I said, that I know of. I'll ask around and see if I can find anybody that has it, but I don't think that I know anybody on this server that has it. And this is an old server. This is server 14. So this is the 14th server that Scopely made. It's been around since the game came out. Because when the game first came out, they actually had all the servers start at the same time. The newer servers, like 52, just recently started. That one started on October 1st of 2020. So it's a brand new server, basically. So this is a really old server. It's been around for 3 years. I don't know anybody on this server that I can think of that has that Enterprise A. And, I mean, I hate how it does that. I mean, Ragnarok, 1 billion power. They level 50. I mean, they just level 50. None of these guys that I know of have the Enterprise A. And they spend tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of money. Let's see, he changed his name. But yeah. So, anyways, but that's pretty much all of our points for tonight. Dragon, you have anything else here before we close out?
Nothing I can think of today.
Nothing you can think of. This is what I'll talk about. Everything requires crystal. It's so freaking annoying. I can't upgrade anything because it needs crystal. I'm like, I need that. Well, that doesn't, but I don't have enough stuff for that. Not on this server. My other server, I do. I got like 4 times the amount of resources I do on this server. I got over 1 billion parasteel. Oh. But anyways, yeah, if you guys come up with any more questions or anything else that you would like to see answered, feel free to drop me a message in the comments and let me know. If there's any feedback you guys have, also drop that in the comments. You can also join the Discord, which you will see a link here below. I do have some merchandise available as well if you guys would like to buy some of that. Money from that goes directly to me. Doesn't go into my Twitch account, actually goes directly to me. So that's really helpful in helping fund the stream, as well as allow me to bring more content, more information, that kind of thing out for you guys. It also lets me invest into the Star Trek game, if that's what you're watching for. So I can buy more packs, try and work towards getting ships, things like that. So even just small purchases, I mean, any purchase you make in the store, I get $5 for each purchase made. Just to give you guys clarity as to what I get. So for everything purchased in the store, I get $5 at least. So you can do that. If you want to donate through PayPal, I also have my PayPal account connected. If you want to just subscribe, you can do that. Just bear in mind that does come with a monthly subscription. And you can also use Prime to subscribe for free if you guys have Amazon Prime. So I appreciate any support monetarily in those particular regards. If you just want to follow, make sure you click the follow button. You can also follow for free, or subscribe is what they call it on YouTube. And that also does help to support the stream with your viewing. So, but I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I hope to see you next time.